Okay, we're live. Oh, hang on.
Are you sitting here?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Kiki.
the BirthBliss Live
If you
session.
had the camera turned around, we'd be able to see what was going
Yes,
on.
I know, but should I try and do that?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me
I've actually got a feeling it's just on
if everyone
Because
is
we
here
don't
right now,
know.
we're just gonna
Just
change
wait a
things
moment, because we
around.
don't know if it's even working.
And isn't
Let's
Tracy
wait.
asking questions?
It's gonna be there.
Okay. Oh, this is. You see, I need to get. You see, that's not
That's
good.
fine.
I'm right with that. I
Okay.
like that one.
That's fine, because we can't see Nicola.
No.
See me.
Okay, we have.
And me.
We have.
Hilary.
We have. Okay. Okay. So.
That's great. We can't see
I'm just going to go and get a computer. So I'll leave you with, this is the lovely Hilary Lewin, Nicola Wilson and Lisa Chalmers. And they're going to entertain you for the next 2 minutes while I get my laptop. So just
What's all
talk
the green,
amongst
what's
yourselves.
the green stuff going on?
There's people
asking
on. There's
questions.
Lucinda, there's Anne-Marie. Hi, lovely to see you. We have 2 people.
Okay, go and
viewing
get
at
your
once.
bloody
Yeah.
thing.
Hilary, over to you, darling.
As the person who called the very first meeting ever of Doula UK, I'm going to take charge. I was always the chairperson. My friend here, Lisa, always had an eye on my position, I'd like to say. So we'll let her have a bit of a go. Kiki's failed to get organised in advance because mainly she was making us all a very nice dinner. And I think hopefully she's going to ask us some interesting questions. But the very first meeting was, what year was it?
1999, 2000?
2000.
2001.
2001.
2000. And how many babies did you have?
I think 1 and a bit.
One and a
Yeah.
bit. You were pregnant.
I think so.
So the very first meeting was at Michelle O'Donnell's, and I had been to a couple of his talks, and I'd gone, I want to be a doula, and he had said, well, why don't you just organise a meeting for doulas? Someone who has never organised anything in my life but is good at throwing a party and could make lots of cake. I invited everyone round to Michelle O'Donnell's house. We now have flipping YouTube going, Kiki.
Sorry, that was the body coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, organised a big party, made loads of cake, and about 40 women turned up.
Yep.
2 of whom were these lovely women. So there was Mags Hardwick, who was my good friend, who was the secretary. There was the amazing Vida,
that beautiful
who
Vida.
she stepped up and she took care of all the IT stuff and made us a website.
She's in New Zealand now.
She's in New Zealand.
Can you see yourself yet?
Yeah, no, we can see Lisa just fine.
Yes, I'm just going to keep going. Hilary.
And so, yeah, we organised the first meeting and it just really flew. So we all variously took positions. I was chairperson because that was my favourite position.
Like talking.
I remember you were the postmistress. You were like, I was. You were like, we said we need someone to pick up the post.
That'll be me.
Can I be called postmistress, please?
And I was the secretary.
Which
For
quite
years.
frankly,
Dominatrix.
No, after Mags.
Yeah,
because
after
Mags
Mags,
started.
you
Mags
became-
was
yeah.
originally the secretary,
Yeah.
and I became secretary for
And that
about 8 years.
quite
or-
diabolical when it was
Oh,
me chairperson, you secretary.
It was yes, it was interesting, but we kind of muddled through, didn't we?
We did really well. We did really well.
Yes, but I'd like to ask you where you originally met. What made you meet in Michelle O'Donnell's kitchen?
Me?
Obviously,
Didn't he invite us?
No, I invited
Yeah,
you.
but
I
didn't
tell
he
you what
invite
happened.
us to his house?
Where did you
invited
do your
you.
doula training?
Excuse me.
No.
Oh my god.
Where's the cork?
Where's the cork? I'm gonna have to go.
We
and
need
get
the Moe cork.
Michelle O'Donnell ran a course to train doulas
No,
with
he
an
didn't.
organisation.
No, he
called-
didn't.
With an organisation called British Doulas.
No, he was
That
a
was
guest
later.
speaker,
Yeah.
wasn't he? He was invited to speak at those. That
No, he
delightful-
did-
No, he wasn't.
Oh
He was,
really?
No.
Tell us, because I thought he was actually.
No.
He was running the doula training.
No,
for
the
British
doula training
doulas.
was run, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
he was invited to speak.
Oh, well, so then subsequently after that, he must have then done the doula training for British doulas, because I sat in his sitting room for 3 days while he did this
No, but
training.
he broke away. Was it Paramount?
Yes.
So they broke
That
away
was
and
after
did that.
that.
Yeah. So, but initially it was British doulas.
It
So
was.
I met him and he had a mailing list of about 120 women.
Oh, wow.
And he said, we need to have an organisation. He gave me his mailing
He
list. of
posted it.
all the various people who had turned
Had
up.
done the training.
So I actually was working in an office at the time. doing on-site massage, and between every client I just caned their telephone.
Yeah.
It was before emails. I hadn't even sent an email at that stage.
Yeah.
Phoned up everybody on the list saying going to be doing this, and 40 odd women all rocked up
on his floor.
Okay, so hang on. So we have British doulas started running doula courses.
Yes.
Michelle O'Donnell was a guest speaker.
Yes, so he helped run the training.
Yeah, and then
there was a revolution.
It was a revolution. Because the whole thing with the
British
agency didn't work.
So they were a nanning agency that brought doulaing over from America. That's how I remember kind of.
That's how they sold it.
Yeah, of course. That's how I read about it.
Yeah.
So they started running training. So lots of us well-intentioned people joined the training, which then kind of really turned out to be more of a nannying agency and not really about women at all.
Yeah.
And a lot of us were feeling quite unhappy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so this breakaway thing pushed by Michelle. And who else was behind it? Liliana and was Sheila Kitzinger?
And
and Hilary.
Hilary. God, credit where credit is due.
Come on, I'm just saying, it was me.
Yeah.
So the whole agency thing with kind of women phoning up and being sent doulas and paying fees and all that.
It was nannies. They were getting night nannies.
And also the woman who ran the course was slightly eccentric.
Very eccentric.
And I remember
Nicely
that
said.
she asked me to talk to a group of her trainee doulas about what was involved in being a doula, and I told a story about accompanying a baby to a special care baby unit.
Yeah.
And I got into trouble because she said that under no circumstances should I interfere with anything medical. And so after that, I actually decided that this was not how I wanted to work.
No,
because I actually remember ringing her up, this woman, when I wanted to train in 2002, and I looked on Doula UK because Doula UK had started by then.
Yeah, we were a bit of a breakaway.
But I didn't find them straight away, so I rang this woman up, and she said to me, I said to her, I'd like to become a doula. Yeah. And she went, doula. That's how you say it, doula. Say after me. And I was like, doula?
Yeah.
Very controlling.
Yeah. And then I was like, literally, okay, if you can post me the information. And I thought, this is
never gonna work.
This is just feels scary.
Yeah.
And then I found Bond, British School of Nurturing Doula. So Ingrid Lewin.
Yeah.
Was that Ruth?
Ingrid.
No, it was Cassandra Clemens. Yeah, and Ingrid helped her.
She's breastfeeding cancer, wasn't she?
But she also did doula training.
Really? She did for a long time.
So I did that.
Yeah, but it was actually with them I did my training, and then it just finished.
Nicola distracted me.
Let's be focused.
Sorry.
All right.
So then let's go now to the Michelle O'Donnell's kitchen.
Yeah.
What happened in 2001? So Hilary.
Am I allowed to speak, Hilary?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to.
She's
find
the chair.
Tracy was there.
You're the postmistress.
So we had
mistress.
So Tracy's here watching this right now. So hello, Tracy in Mallorca, Love Island.
Is that
Anyone's watching it?
It's Love Island.
exactly? We should have gone, right?
I know.
Oh, yeah, we should have gone. What, been on Love Island? Or no?
We're too good for them.
Absolutely, but it's quite fun to watch.
I
Anyway, moving on. So in Michelle O'Donnell's kitchen, how many were there?
So you think about 40?
Yeah.
So I just remember us all squeezing into the
sitting
front
room floor. Yeah.
sitting on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And you made like the wooden stairs, and we were all kind of sat in anticipation, and these little stockings, these little socks came down the stairs. Do you remember that? That's when I was like,
Oh, Father Christmas.
no.
The stockings.
But no, little, his little socks, his
Oh.
little feet came down.
it was Michelle
That was the
O'Donnell.
first time that I'd
See Michelle O'Donnell.
seen Michelle.
Yeah.
So what we did was essentially everyone had a big sheet of paper, a flip chart, and it was just everyone got split into groups of 5 or 6 women and just brainstormed
Were you there?
what we wanted from an organisation. And
Okay.
essentially, we wanted an organisation to support, to educate, which was run by doulas.
By
At that
doulas.
point, was non-profit
Women-centred.
making, women-centred,
Non-prescriptive.
and an opportunity for us to actually raise the profile of doulas and support each other. And I think we pretty much achieved that.
Yeah.
And actually, I do have to say, as one of the directors of Doula UK now, that I think we still have those
values
as our core values, and I think that we still hopefully manage to fulfil that.
Because it was called the Doula Association initially, wasn't it?
I remember.
This is what we've read in the history of the documents that are left from those meetings.
I have a new.
I have a newsletter, and I just kind of forgotten that it belonged to us and thought it belonged to somebody else.
Yeah,
I was going to bring it over, like
the Doula Association.
Yeah. And then 2001, officially, we have Doula UK, and we have Hilary, who is the chair, who actually needs to have her best mate to help her be the chair, because Mags was like. Mags
organised.
Mags was the secretary.
So Mags was not even a doula, but Mags helped Hilary be the chair. And then we have the postmistress, which Lisa enjoyed very much.
I just collected the letters.
Yeah.
And we did a lot more than that.
In the end.
Yeah, because we had, at that time...
It was a very skeleton...
We had a P.O. box.
We did in
Southgate.
And we would actually get letters addressed to the postmistress.
And
it's
really interesting sitting here and discussing it as we are between us now, because and I'm probably the person here who's most involved with the day-to-day running of Doula UK now, from the point of view of being on the board of directors and so on. And I feel really proud, because I actually think that we have managed to still have all of the things that we're talking about here as part of the organisation now. And I think that is... it's so important that we still have those core values, because we were talking about earlier in the garden about how there tends to be a side of doula which is much more professional, with a big P, in that they are charging huge amounts
money
of money.
orientated.
Yes, very much more money orientated, and I really think that Doula UK protect that part of doula.
Yeah. The only thing though is that we have an organisation run by volunteers. Doulas running an organisation with over 700 members.
Is that how many you've got now?
Yeah. So I think we really, hopefully we're looking to get more, like Doula UK is looking to get more kind of funding to run the organisation.
I think it's important now that people get paid for it.
It needs to actually change, because it gets really hard. But look at, so when you first met each other, the three of you, how did you all think that you'd be sitting here, 17 years later, in my kitchen?
Well,
yeah, 2001, 17 years.
Bloomin' Ada, you've had 3 kids in that time then.
I have, yeah.
So Lisa moved to Australia.
Yeah.
And started...
So we actually started Australian Doulas on do you remember all of that?
Yeah.
So we actually started, which was a kind of an off branch of Doula UK. So we started Australian Doulas, which was with the help of Licia, who was also an earlier member. And with Vida over in New Zealand supporting us as well. So that's been an interesting journey. But going back to your original thing about, I remember being intimidated by Hilary.
Who wouldn't be?
Because she never shut up. Very confident. But you did declare transparently that you loved to talk. Right at the very first meeting, you owned it and wore it
and stuck to that throughout.
Yeah.
Never changed.
I actually don't remember meeting you at the first... Look at you, look guilty already.
So I know what she's going to say.
You can tell it if you like.
Lisa's abiding memory of me is that the first time I met her, I stole food off her plate. Now, I actually don't remember this at all, but she assures me...
I didn't like her at all.
Yes, no, she didn't like me very much. But she assures me that actually did happen.
You don't remember that at all?
No.
One thing I do remember was we very quickly started having all our meetings at Nicola's house.
Yes.
Do you remember
because she has a good bar, and we
there
was one winter, and Kevin, Nicola's long-suffering husband, had said to us all to park in a special place and do it a specific way,
which we respected.
But most of us did it wrong. And so it had been raining, it was on a slope, it was dark, it was really muddy, and we then had to push about 30 cars out of Kevin's field.
I remember that well.
Covered in
mud
up the garden
with
Kevin.
He's
never forgiven us for that.
But do you know what I remember most of all, turning up at Nicola? So I trained in 2002. Do you remember me emailing you? And so come along to this meeting. And obviously as a new doula, you feel really worried, like how... Oh, the lights has gone on, so sorry. We'll sort that out later. I felt really kind of worried about turning up, and you were like, oh, hello, and I got this biggest hug from you, and it was so nice.
Yeah.
It was cake, it was food, it was everything you wanted, and I just remember thinking, you know, I really feel kind of
It was lovely.
like I'm welcomed.
I think we did that well, actually.
Yeah.
You did that really
Because
well.
we were all from very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Because you had your very impressive house and I was in a council house. And there was nothing to discriminate any of us. We were in it for the same cause, and I think that's what made it so special.
Yeah.
It did. It really did, and it was it was a great time. It was very exciting, and very and it just felt like a real privilege to be meeting women who, in the normal course of events, I probably wouldn't ever have had the opportunity to meet.
No.
It was it was amazing because we all came from. You know, we all came from very different parts.
Didn't most of us have the shared learning experience of the first doula training course, though?
Yes.
I think so,
which you did with
Michelle.
Michelle.
No, the one. So it was. What was
so
it
I'm
called?
just going to see if I can sort this out.
What was it called?
It was British Doula.
British Doula.
I actually just met Michelle O'Donnell. He did some evening lecture which I had gone to, and then it was later that I did the Paramana course.
Oh, so you didn't even do the British Doula one?
I wasn't even a doula.
Right.
Because I remember going up
But
to
you
him.
were, because you'd already been
I'd been at
present
several
many
births. I've been at many births, and I remember going up to Michelle O'Donnell after his talk saying, I would like to be a doula. How do I become one?
Yeah,
And
right.
he said, after hearing my experience, he said, you are a doula.
Yeah.
And we need an organisation.
Fantastic.
Would you be willing to organise that? And I just went, yeah, all right, in my naivety. And what I think was really beautiful was, as you said, it was just a whole bundle of women came together with no idea of what it would take to do. And some people had a bit of web experience, some people had a bit of marketing experience.
Yeah,
was the web mistress. Different people had different things that they brought to the table, and we just worked it out as we went along. And I think the point is, if we had known what we were supposed to be achieving, we probably never would have started. I remember Mags and I sitting at her kitchen table after meetings, writing the minutes. I mean, it was appalling. What do you think she said? Well, let's just say she said that. It wasn't very officially run, but it was. It served its purpose. Ingrid Lewis and I spent 3 or 4 nights sitting together, writing out there was some kind of regulations, the code of practice.
Did we do the code of conduct?
Code of conduct, yes.
Because we then took that same code of conduct into Australia.
Right,
do you remember?
yeah.
I think it was 15 points we came up with.
And so, you know, we spent several meetings, but some of it remains the same.
Yeah.
When I read the Doula UK website, I am still hearing some of the words that we
And of course, we actually haven't mentioned that Hilary is now a trustee of the new Access Fund that we're turning into a charity. So, and also a lifelong
So what is that?
member.
I don't even know that then.
So, what used to be, what did we used to call it?
The Access Fund.
The Access Fund is now, which was a way of doulas providing care for
I remember
women.
that starting.
Yeah. So we started to say that people would be able to access their expenses up to £200.
So did that come from membership fee?
That came, but actually what happened was that it took off to such an extent that we actually were finding that we couldn't afford to fund it from just the membership. So the Access Fund is now becoming a charity. We're about 2 or 3 weeks away from putting in the application for the charity.
It's exciting.
Once that has becomes up and running, then we will have access to a lot more chunks of money that we will be able to use to provide doulas for women who can't afford them, and the doulas who provide the support will be paid. A proper amount of money.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Because we had all that going on for every year. I remember someone saying, "Oh, I'll do the charity thing," and then
you and I did it about 6 or 7 years ago.
Because it's a voluntary, and you keep getting stuck, and then it's like, oh, they left now. So what's happening with the voluntary status? Oh, well, we don't know. And it was just frustrating. And then, I mean, as the more doulas we got together, and because I took over from Vida when she moved to New Zealand, and I was doing the website, and I'll tell people about the website where it was literally, because you had that dial-up, you know when you dial up and and you connected it, and it took me hours to update anything on the website because it wasn't like it was now. It was just mad. So being a volunteer back then, it's like
a lot of hard work.
So now they're very kind of. I have my 4. Well, how many hours do you do a week?
It depends
So
very
it's
much.
very
I mean,
kind of close. It's
I mean-
like I've done my volunteer hours now, so you have
So
to wait
every
till
Wednesday
Wednesday.
I'm expected to do volunteer?
what we
No.
tend to do now is
No,
so that
volunteers.
you will, for example, I noticed the other day that I was trying to get hold of Alison with respect to something, and on her email she had, I will get back to you as soon as possible. I check emails for Doula UK on Tuesday and Friday.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we
Yeah,
actually
this is
got,
what's happening now.
Brilliant.
We've got a lot
it's much
more
more boundaries.
self-care.
If
Yeah.
you're
Exhibiting self-care.
absolutely, which is
So
what
there
you
is no
spoke about
burnout.
at the Doula UK conference. So we are trying to get, and we do have Lizzie, who is now paid as our.
We have one paid part-time
we used to call her an
person.
organisational manager, but she didn't like that now. I can't remember what she calls herself.
Oh, sorry, we have a new name.
Yeah, I can't remember what she calls herself.
Okay.
Anyway, she's not an organisation manager anymore. She's something else.
And does that money come from membership?
Yes.
So you have that many members now. You can
I know,
probably-
700 members.
700. But what I was going to say, also, just to you watching, we have about 14, 15 people watching live. If you have any questions, just kind of, post them and I can read them and I can ask everyone here. But also, moving on from 17 years ago.
Is it really so?
Yeah, it's 17 years
Are
ago.
you the
It's a
longest
lifetime.
standing?
Probably.
Yeah, Nicola is the only kind of person that's still a doula.
And Hilary.
You're like Queen
Yeah, but
Victoria.
you're-
I'm not part of the organisation
Yeah, but you're
so
not-
much.
yeah.
Oh, you're getting
I'm
a
only
hot-
literally, I'm having a hot flush.
Hot flush?
It's all right, everyone.
That's okay. We can talk about that. So Hilary is doing a lot more about women's health and our vegan massage and menopausal, perimenopausal. We've had that discussion earlier today. So that's why she's fanning herself. You should be through this. So that's kind of what you do now. You don't work so much as a doula anymore,
I
do you?
don't. Well, I try and do maybe 1 or 2 births a year, just because I love it. So it's more as a sweet spot rather than, certainly not a way that I earn a living. Because I work with women through fertility, there will be some women who, I work with them for 3 or 4 years, and then eventually they get pregnant. And to be quite frank, I'm going to their birth whether I'm invited.
Yeah.
I've become
Gate
so
crashing.
invested in it.
Yeah.
And that's how I did my first birth, actually.
Yeah.
It was quite literally, I was working as a massage therapist,
Yeah.
and I gate crashed the first 5 or
remember
6
you saying
births that I ever
that,
did. I had a few girlfriends, we went to each other's houses for home births, and it wasn't until I discovered Michelle O'Donnell that I could do it as a way of earning money. So
Yeah.
I do a couple of births, just because I love it. But to be quite frank, I can't stay up. I cannot lose that. If I do a birth now,
It takes 5 days.
the money, it takes 5 days. The money that I charge has to cover a massage for me,
Yeah.
potential therapy,
Yeah.
shopping, at least 1 dinner out.
Yeah.
It's just, it's such hard work being a birth doula. I take my hat off to women who are birth doulaing as an actual career, especially when they're running with small children of their own.
Yeah.
But I think somehow when you have small children, because you're so busy, you just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, because I find that myself as my children are growing up, being a birth doula, it does, it's so lovely. It's like I would never ever get bored of watching a baby be born.
But it's easy compared to looking after toddlers. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like it's a bit of a
Or
holiday.
teenagers,
going
it's
out
a
and
bit
doing a
of a holiday.
birth
Yeah,
rather than
you feel
staying
like
at
you're
home with your
Right,
toddlers.
I
It's
do
very
have to say, I
valuable.
take my hat off to those women who take their babies to births with them, because
Oh,
I don't know how that
out.
works. But I do know that quite a lot of people
Home births in Australia, people can do that. They don't really do that in hospital births in Australia.
Some doulas take their babies to hospital.
Here,
Yeah.
right.
But Lisa, do you have a birth pool company?
Yeah, tell me, Lisa. So you moved to Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know this,
I
Henry?
did know that, but it's just like I have always wanted to know about it.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So
How
you
did
brought
that
birth
start?
pools to Australia?
Yeah, so I had 3 kids here, was fully immersed in doulaing, had water births here, went to Australia, got pregnant with my son, and women were birthing in wooden planks with a mattress on the bottom and a piece of tarp in it.
Oh.
Or
that
cattle
was
water.
With water in it?
Yeah, like filling it out with water and birthing in these
goodness.
kind of blue tarp, like horrific. Or cattle. I used to sell to a midwife who had her clients birthing in cattle drinking troughs.
Oh my goodness.
There was just nothing. So I got pregnant with my son and I was just like,
I'm
not
not
birthing. Where does the champagne glass go, man? I'm not like... So we ended up contacting a couple of suppliers here and somehow have no business acumen or interest. Somehow we ended up with sole distribution of these 2 birthing pool companies, and it has been amazing. So I was so lucky. I was immersed in birth doulaing, founded Australian doulas, was travelling around Australia attending conferences and having a great time doing that, and then kind of added this facet of water birth. So we have sold every birthing pool to Australia and New Zealand, Singapore, Philippines, so just knowing that impact has happened, all because of Doula UK, all because of that love of birth, thousands and thousands and thousands of women, just
that's
that
remarkable.
butterfly
So you
ripple.
remain the sole distributor?
Yes,
Where do they come from?
So they come from here. So there's 2 companies there, Birth Pool in a Box and La Bassine. So there's 2 different, I think, I actually birthed in neither of those. I birthed in a different inflatable pool. I don't even know if they're around anymore. But I contacted them and was just like, I'm not birthing in what Australia is offering. So we ended up serendipitously, is that a word?
Yep.
Thanks. We ended up with this business, and it's just, so even though I'm not doing anymore, I'm still very connected to the birthing community and the midwives, and love it.
For me,
amazing.
that's what, starting with Doula UK and with all the women that were there that I got to meet as a result of that, it taught me how to speak in public. It taught me, I'd never chaired a meeting before.
Taught me how to use a computer.
Taught me how, I'd never sent an email before.
Yeah.
I still can't mail merge.
No, I did do that, but I couldn't do it now.
But all the skills I learned
Yeah.
of how to set up an organisation, and none of us really knew what we were doing.
No.
And then we've all been able to go on and use those skills. You've set up your own
I
training
know.
school.
Yeah.
And I never imagined that would come. So I think volunteering for these things, volunteering is really good, ladies.
Yes. It really
because
is.
it teaches you so many skills. I am so grateful to what I learned from those days. And how it's actually...
And you make lifelong friends.
And
Yes.
17 years later, still stealing my food, Nicola.
but I think the women that come into doula, and at least I feel that through my course, after the 4 days we spend together, everyone's like, it's so nice to know that women actually can be so supportive of each other.
It's very special.
And so many women have never experienced that before.
Yeah.
And we're all
That's what I was trying
different.
to say earlier.
Yeah, we're all different. We all have different values. Well, we have same values, but we all have different ideas of how we run the world and how we do things. And what I also see often is doulas thinking they have to be a certain person to be a doula, and I often say you have to be you.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a doula, be you.
Yeah.
If you're a smoking doula, if you're someone
really.
that drinks or whatever,
somebody's going to want you.
Exactly.
Back of all the meetings smoking a spliff.
yeah, I know. Let's hope the police not watching. No,
My next thing is legalise marijuana in the UK.
this is Hilary for you. You see, we all accept each other like we are, and we all do our own thing. But I think that's what's so nice, because I believe women, we're not used to being leaders. We're not used to leading the way, so we don't know really how to act when someone is a woman leader.
I think we did quite well, girls.
Yeah, no, I
we did
think
all
we
right.
did, because it's all about...
Actually, I think that's something that you've really brought to the table, and I just wanted to say a little bit about how important it is to have that kind of cultural difference, because I think coming from a country like Sweden, like you do, you bring that kind of, and that's something that I've noticed about you that I really respect.
The direct speaking.
It's the fact that you have a way of saying things which is completely honest and open and very direct, but respectful. And I don't think that British people do that very well.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
Well, it's also, and Kiki has no issue about talking to anybody.
No.
She'll talk to Penny Simpkin in the same way that she talks to me. She doesn't have any kind of issues about feeling intimidated by anybody. And I think that really shines through.
I'm going to start crying
No.
in a minute.
I think it shines through in a lot in what and shows it just proves, in the way that you're successful in what you do, because that's really something that I've noticed, that British people tend not to. I don't know if you notice that living in Australia, that we tend not to be. We don't push ourselves forward.
Yeah, you need to do that more.
Yeah. I think, and maybe women as well. Maybe British women are particularly bad about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't see that in you three. I'm sorry.
Maybe we're
Shy and retiring.
yeah, absolutely.
No, but it is. I think it is important. I think we need to support each other more. It's not just like having babies, but everything
in
we
life.
do. So yeah,
Everything.
absolutely. And I think that for me is the essence of being a doula.
It's the beginning, isn't
Exactly.
it? And so some of us have gone into death doulaing as well.
Yeah.
We've kind of
Yes.
followed that through, and you're doing all the menopausal stuff, and so it is just a skill that we learn around birth that has shown us what's missing in society. This
Yeah.
kind
Absolutely.
of support and community, and so
Yeah.
we've all gone off in our different branches, but the truth of it is we're still there for each other.
So Lisa, you did a death doula training course in the UK last time you were here.
So it's one of those kind of Australian English things. So I somebody I love very much died.
Yeah.
So I came to England and I did spiritual midwifery.
Yeah.
And then in Australia we had death walker training.
Oh.
So it was just this kind of exchange. Neither terms kind of fitted with me. I didn't
No.
really like either of those terms. Death doula, because I was so comfortable with the word doula, I guess.
Yeah.
And but the people new to it were not so comfortable. But yeah, so I kind of went the other end of the spectrum
Yes.
with that. And it's really starting to emerge. I think I did it 4 or 5 years ago I started doing it. I don't know what it's like here. But
Do you run the training? Do you mean, or do you?
No, so I ran the birth doula training
Yeah.
in Australia, in Western Australia anyway. That's still going. Like I handed over the course and the association to people doing it because I just suddenly lost interest because of this new super doula
Yeah, let's talk about that in
money
a
thing.
minute.
Yeah. But then I ended up kind of doing death doulaing and supporting people through that. The first and the final rite of passage.
But
is kind
my
of how
experience of being at deaths, and I've done a few death doulaing, they certainly weren't jobs with friends and with
I see it. Yeah,
family.
no, it's not a job at all, is it?
But my experience is the energy around a really good birth
100%.
is exactly the same as the
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
around
It's a rite of
a
passage,
really good
isn't it?
death.
And it shouldn't be medicalised and it shouldn't be commercialised.
I
I
have
think
been
I think-
traumatised by death every bit as
Yeah.
much as I've been traumatised by birth.
Yeah.
I've possibly been traumatised by birth more, but
Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah,
trauma
we
is
had
the
that
same.
experience, didn't we? Do you remember having this conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that feeling when you are in a birth room and you can actually feel the presence of another person when they are born. You can actually feel that soul enter that body in the same way when you're with somebody who's dying. You can feel the absence of the soul as well.
And I think we're attuned to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we are about reading people's energy and
Yeah.
what's coming and understanding the physiology of birth and death.
Yeah.
It's a natural language for us.
Yeah.
And when we talk about that, it all sounds a little bit like, you know,
Woo-woo.
the genuine kind of idea people have about doulas.
Yeah.
But I talk about that as in you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It's like you can be the most cynical person and not think about all these kind of, it's all very factual. But when you're at birth and when you're at death, you can't get away from it.
No.
It's an energy, and we know energy. That's not woo woo. We know everything's made out of energy.
Yeah.
And it actually is just, you become that person. You cannot keep going to births, or if you're a death doula supporting at deaths, and not feel that, it's just that thing.
But you learn to read it.
Exactly.
Don't you? You learn to.
Yeah.
Learn to but it was really interesting when we tried to kind of introduce death doulaing into Australia. The kind of it's called Silver Chain. Do you have that here?
No.
So it's kind of government run or charity. I'm not quite sure. Owned territorially by a medical profession.
All right.
Okay.
So we started implementing this whole death doula movement, and somewhere in it they became involved, and they were appalled that we were not qualified to sit and hold somebody's hand.
What
as they died.
qualifications do you need?
But can you imagine, and this is what I was saying to the doulas in Australia, can you imagine if at our very birth we had Sheila Kitzinger on board, we had Michelle, we had all these like experts on board supporting us and pushing us. If we'd have had those people as equally high up going, you're not qualified, we would never have evolved past it. We were so blessed to be so supported. So when this happened in Australia with these nurses that were disgusted that we were not qualified to sit and hold somebody's hand as they died, it absolutely annihilated the energy of it. It just stopped. So it's never, we haven't actually gone past that. It's starting again now, but not having that professional support just put the fire out completely.
But that's what's happening, isn't it? It's like, if you look at support and care, what is oxytocin? Oxytocin, like Michel Audin, you know. And that is
Check out
what
her
we-
accent
yeah.
when she says that.
Yeah, oxytocin.
The woman of
Yeah.
love.
It's
Woman of love.
Oh, he says the milieu. The milieu is very important.
The milieu.
The milieu. Yeah, the environment.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. What, do you not speak French?
Not with that accent.
It's my Swedish French accent. No, but anyway, that is fundamentally, we know, making, like, giving someone oxytocin, stroking someone, holding someone, that is what's healing.
Yeah.
That is it. From nursing, whatever you're doing, if you're going to make someone feel better, you make them emotionally feel oxytocin.
Yeah.
So that's not woo woo.
No.
That's actually caring.
Nor
it's
is it
nurturing.
academic.
No,
You can't learn that in a degree.
And that's what my thing. I remember sitting in that first meeting at Nicola's house going, do you know what? I do not want to know anything about medical things because that's only going to cloud my judgment.
You.
Do you remember me saying that? Everyone was saying that because
I remember you in Nicola's kitchen.
Yeah, because I was so
like eating cake.
Yeah, of course I would do. But then of course you do 15, 16 years of being a doula and you cannot get away from it. But I still see that. I think it's so sad that, you know, to care for someone, like, but we literally love our clients.
Yeah, you do. You fall in love, don't
exactly.
You fall in love.
And it's like kind of like having children where you don't want to overstep the mark, you don't want to tell them what to do, and they need to make their own decisions, but you're there supporting them. And it's just equally as hard being a parent as it is being with your clients. Because if you overstep that kind of, I'm rescuing you and I'm going to help you through it, you're taking something away from them. And I see that a lot with doulas, because I do a lot of doula training, this whole, but what should I do? You know, doulas texting or Facebooking it from births going, this is happening. And I'm like, don't do that. You know, when you leave the room, when you start, you have to be in that situation and feel like you're shitting yourself, thinking, what can I do? And then remember, what is my role?
You're not supposed to be doing anything. What does a good doula do? She keeps her mouth shut and her hands in her pocket.
Exactly. And it's even harder when you're doulaing for your own daughter.
I'm not entirely sure I can do that.
We're not even going to go there on this episode.
That'll be next year.
That's a whole other episode.
Guys, next time in Mallorca next year.
Yeah, we're going to
Tracy, we're coming.
Tracy, we're coming your way. Love Island. Yeah, we're going to do our own episode there. But yeah, I think that's so important. Everyone just overcomplicates it. Like,
but isn't that like a lack of confidence? I remember when I first started out, I'd have my Evian spray.
You have to do it all.
And then slowly, my doula birth bank became all about me.
Yeah.
There's a spare pair of necklaces.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Deodorant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. Initially, it was like, I'm charging money. I need to have something. I need to show I'm working.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this whole bag of goodies and tricks, and then over years and
That
years,
is
it was
so
just
true.
all about me.
Yeah.
But I think you have to go through
Bottle
that.
of wine for in the car on the way home.
Windows open.
But it is. It's a learning of humility, isn't it? And
that's such an important word, because I actually think that sometimes that gets lost along the way. Humility.
It definitely does.
I think once you've been working as a doula for a little bit, you have to really have a bit of a check to think. It's not about what I'm doing or anything that I'm bringing that's making this happen. It's
You're just facilitating.
I think that's
it,
important.
aren't you?
I think you always have to check in with yourself all the time and remember it's not about the doula. It's never about the doula. But looking at that, we're seeing changing in the birthing world. We see this kind of other kind of, we have organisations from the USA coming over, really kind of established in the island at the moment. And I don't know if they're coming over to Australia, but we have this kind of, I totally think women should be have the right to charge for supporting at birth, but at the same time we have to have this balance. It's like, okay, we are a professional with a small p because we are charging for our services, but what's happening like in Australia, what's happening there? I know Penny Simkin talks about doulas turning up when women are in established labour in hospital. They're meeting their clients in hospital.
Right.
What would you say about that, Lisa?
So I kind of lost the heart of doulaing when this kind of super doula thing emerged, and so there were doulas appearing, and I'm sure that they can justify where they're at and everything, but having been a part of the founding of Doula UK, our heart is so important, and that's linked into our integrity and our passion. And so to kind of see this emergence of a super doula doing 4, 5, 6 births a month, charging thousands of dollars per client. I remember having my first child in a birthing centre, and there was only one birth pool. And I remember the stress of being a woman to go into labour first that night so that I got that birth pool. Like, I really remember the pressure of, like, what if that birth pool is not available? Like, what am I going to do? So to me, if I'm paying a doula to be with me and supporting me. I personally couldn't bear the idea of 5 other women birthing around that time and putting the trust in the universe that it's all going to work out. I think women deserve more than that.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got this emergence of super doulas, is what I call them. And so Australian doulas have stayed true to who it is. And the super doulas, they're earning their money, they've got good clients, they're serving a purpose. If women are happy to do that and buy into that service, you know, good on them, you know, it just doesn't feel right for me. So I kind of started stepping away from that. It doesn't sit well with me because of where we started. So there's a whole branch off in Australia. I don't know if it's here, is it? You've got that yet?
We don't have that quite yet.
Not yet, but I think it's...
But, you know, I have, you know, if doulas are doing 3 births a month, and they're using backup doulas, the clients are very well aware.
If the clients are happy to do it, exactly.
So that's a different thing. But I also know in Canada, there's a doula there that has like 30 births a month.
I don't even understand how that's possible.
No, but because she uses, you know, the doulas that come through her training courses to actually go to all these clients, and then she'll turn up for the actual birth.
So that sounds very
That's
ego-based.
like an obstetrician,
Yeah,
like an American
ego-based.
obstetrician.
Yeah, and this is the worry. You remember, you were there in Michelle Dawn's kitchen talking about we do not want to be another layer of professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want the uniform.
No, we don't want
to be a good woman.
Yeah,
We don't want to be another level of medicalisation.
Exactly,
right.
because we don't work on that level. We're not about we if we get to that, and that's why I think Doula UK has really kept the balance between, okay, we need to have some kind of regulation in the terms of having, you know, becoming a recognised doula, going through a mentoring process, but we're still quite open to any woman can be a doula, and you don't have to have these, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the DBS checks.
What's
These are the
DBS?
police checks.
Okay.
You know, insurance.
So
all
you
those
failed
things.
then.
She's already kind of given up.
Oh, yeah.
Lies.
Sorry, no comment.
Yeah.
You're going to be an underground doula.
But can you see, the more we get into this kind of, oh yeah, you need to have a police check,
But
you need
that's
to have
the whole
insurance.
prescriptiveness. We're
Yeah,
keen to avoid all of that at the
and you
beginning.
need to have infant, pediatric first aid. You need to have, you know, when you and people say, well, how can you be a doula and not have pediatric first aid? Well, actually,
You don't touch the baby.
no, but let's hold on a minute here. What are our role? Why do I need that? I'm emotional, practical, and informative support.
Yeah, hopefully there's going to be a medical person
Exactly.
around to do all of that.
Do you remember when you first caught your first baby?
Oh,
BBAs.
Yeah. Do you remember that? I remember we were all like, so thank God it was Hilary.
vomited. The midwife turned up and I vomited.
Oh.
When she turned up, I was so the woman was just like, I think I'm going. No, the woman kept saying to me, I can't go to hospital, I think I'm going to give birth. And I was just like, no, because even when you're fully dilated, it still takes 2 hours to push a baby
According
out.
to page 17.
Page 17 says 2 hours to push a baby out. And then after a few moments of saying that, I was suddenly like, listen to your client. So I was just like, just pop your hand between your legs and tell me if you can feel anything. And she went, I can feel a head.
Oh my God.
And then she literally dropped on all fours onto the bed. I looked and this baby's head was already delivered. The head was fully
smiling at
delivered,
you.
smiling at me. And so she was like, what do I do? And I was just like, well, I don't know. Push, I suppose. And so the baby just slipped out and I caught the baby. And then we called the midwife. The midwife and the ambulance turned up about, 15 minutes later. When the midwife turned up, I was so relieved to see her. I vomited.
It's not a nice pressure, is it?
Yeah, I know. I had
How many
all
have
of us
you
have been in
had?
BBAs.
I did 3 altogether.
BBAs.
Yeah.
Kiki, how many have you had?
One.
Luckily,
Luckily.
one as well.
Very
two.
close. Very close. But it is that. I just remember. Well, you know, you feel in the moment. You're just like there, aren't you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't. You don't.
But,
Not thinking.
Who else is it going to be?
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
but then you walk out and you're like, oh my God, this could have happened. That could have
So
happened.
Well, the
First
one that I
time
had, well, the baby didn't rest the chute.
Oh yeah, that was.
So
that was
the
a
woman,
tricky one.
the woman had her leg up on a birthing pool.
What does that mean?
The
Turn.
baby
Breathe.
turned-
Yeah.
Oh, turn.
You know the baby's head come
Yeah,
out
so
and
they
then
turn.
it
Rest
turns
the chute. This
to-
is very
yeah.
professional.
Basically, it's a sign.
Yeah,
It's a
you're not
sign.
a midwife, are
Can
you?
it be a sign of shoulder dystocia? So this baby didn't turn. The baby's head didn't turn, and the woman had her leg up on the birth pool. She hadn't actually managed to get into the pool all that so quickly, and she did this little flick with her hip. and the baby just.
She did it naturally.
So she
know,
naturally
don't they? Women know.
It was incredible.
Because she was in her own power.
That's called
Yeah,
restitute.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I just learned something.
Not respiration.
Resuscitate.
So okay, so while I'm reading, I'm just seeing what people are saying. They're saying, "Oh, ha ha, I've been there too. You know, it's happening when you start grunting. When they start grunting."
Yeah.
That's from Paula. We have Sarah saying, "Amazing to hear you talking." So people are joining in.
I remember when I had that first BBA, though, the midwife said to me, "If a baby comes that quickly, it's because there is no problem."
It's fine.
And that has been my mantra, and that's what I say to every
That
couple.
planted a seed in all of us, I think, Hilary, because you were the first.
Yeah.
The vomiting normalised a lot for us, you know. And again in Australia, I was the first from Australian doulas, and everyone was like, "Thank God it was Lisa."
But I do remember going to catch the baby, and I thought to myself, well, if I drop this bag, I'm going to be in trouble. So I said to the husband, because she was standing up, so I said, "Catch the baby."
Do this together.
I said to my dad, "Do you want to catch your
I was like, we're going to do this together. And I remember taking off my rings and just going like, oh my God.
So there's a bit of advice, guys. If you're ever at a BBA, get the dad to catch the baby, because if he drops it, it's not your fault.
But I have someone asking a question here. It's Sally Carter. She's saying, "Do you all volunteers live in a particular area? Are you local to one another, or are some positions done remotely?"
That's probably one for me. A lot of the team who are volunteers either Skype in when we have meetings, or we basically have a meeting room that we can access in John Lewis, which is fantastic because it's
in London. Right?
In London.
Did you organise that?
No, Lizzie did.
Because you're like a John
would have,
Lewis prime member.
Yeah.
John Lewis.
So it's available for charities, and because we
brilliant! I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have a very strong sort of arm of John Lewis who support charities quite strongly. So that's how we. So it's a fantastic venue, because it means everybody comes. From. I mean, not. Katrina, who is our financial director, lives up in the north, and she comes probably to every other meeting. She doesn't come down every time because it's quite
But
expensive.
Doula UK pay expenses for people to travel to
For board meetings, yes.
Yeah.
But
So-
not for other meetings.
We need Doula UK always need volunteers, and whatever you can help with, please. Just, even if you think, well, I don't know much, what you know will be helpful.
We knew nothing. When
Yeah.
we started.
No,
I
exactly.
remember.
We knew nothing.
We had no laptops, no
No.
computers.
No.
I had IT because I worked in IT, and that's how I could take over from.
But it was
Rita,
just
because
like
it was me and
whenever
her.
somebody new came in with a skill, we were like, we're going to have it.
Yeah, I actually kind of remember you saying that to me.
But one of the other things is that I think that we're very, very short of area reps, for example. So, and I think people think that the area rep thing is a really big deal, but it's actually not. It's just about keeping in touch with people and making sure that you meet up regularly.
It's a good way, and people need that support as well.
Yeah,
don't
they do.
But this is a
Particularly
special
new
job.
doulas.
You need doulas. The more doulas you have in an area,
Yeah.
the more
The more
doulas
work
are
you
Yeah,
get.
exactly. And that's what doulas don't get. It's not about my patch. It's about you get together and you, because women out there, there's 800,000 births a year in the UK. They can't even say
With
no to us.
700 doulas.
Exactly. So you've got a pretty good chance of,
I need to have a shout out to Tracy.
Hello, Tracy.
She's saying about that. She's saying to you, it was a house full of love and acceptance. That was in like when we were at Nicola's and at Michelle Adorn's. And Hilary's all heart, not admin.
Yeah, that's so true. She's shit at admin.
Never ever did what I said I was
Yeah.
going to do.
I know,
Never knowingly
it's so
completed
true.
a task.
No.
But that's what
I
you
do
have.
it and then make it the minute.
Yeah, but that's what you have to remember. It's like if you want to volunteer, don't think, oh, I'm not whatever. It's all about wanting to volunteer. That's what makes the difference. That I just wanted to be involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I wanted
right.
to be-
Exactly.
yeah, I
Exactly.
wanted
And that
to- I
puts
wanted
you in
to be part-
positions
yeah.
that you would never.
Exactly.
When Vida went to New Zealand, I took over briefly. Was she the accountant or?
She did everything.
So I
She
took
was
over,
the chair.
right, so I took over as the accountant, I think.
Yeah,
She
you
came
did.
to my house and I was crap. So there's like a system where you had to tick with red or green or blue, and I'm like, I've only got a purple pen, so I'm just going to tick everything with purple. And whoever was doing our accounts for us, do you remember we had a volunteer husband?
Oh,
Yeah, there was a volunteer.
And they're like,
Everyone
what the fuck
volunteers.
is purple? You know? The only colour I had. What's the problem? You know. But it was amazing because I had no skills at all.
No.
for
I
that.
have to say, the only person in the beginning who had any real skills was Vida.
She was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, she was.
And she won't even see this. She doesn't do Facebook.
Oh, but no, I know. I keep trying to involve her in things because I've got. So doulas have trained.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, but I have
Yeah.
doulas that trained with me and moved to New Zealand, and they've actually connected with Vida.
how
And
lovely.
then I get these messages. Oh, Vida says hello, and
She's
I'm like,
so beautiful.
no,
She was
Wellington.
Auckland or Christchurch.
She
No,
New
she-
Zealand.
Hamilton. I think she's near Hamilton.
She was in Gisborne for
Yeah.
a while.
Filming.
Yeah.
When I go to New Zealand, I
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I should-
I think her
Oh.
parents went and moved out.
Yeah. No, she had 2 of her babies
Two
in
babies.
yurt.
Yeah. So she actually was my distributor for the birthing pools in New Zealand.
Oh,
So she
wow.
was selling them. I think she probably sold her business 4 or 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
there's a new woman
Her
now.
husband was called Graham, and he was a weatherman.
He was a
Yes.
weatherman. That's right.
And-
Isn't it
and-
funny?
and- And
She
Vida
still
was
is.
very much part of setting up Doula UK, and she didn't have any
100%.
children.
No,
so
that's
this is the
nice,
other
yeah.
thing. 'Cause
Beautiful.
I have a lot of doulas coming through. They're like, "Oh, I haven't had children. Can I
What
still
can
be
I
a doula?"
offer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but God.
And
yeah.
so, where is Doula UK these days on the male doula?
we have
One member.
We have one.
male member.
That had to happen, didn't it?
Moving
We have
on,
we have
Kiki.
a
And
lovely.
the Swede did that.
We have a
Just
lovely,
another-
lovely
Sorry,
male
lovely
doula
male.
whose name I can't remember.
That's because you're
But I have
menopausal.
met him,
Where does he work?
and he's lovely. He works in London. No, Brighton.
No,
I
hang
can't
on.
remember.
He does.
Somebody out there will
Bowen,
know. Come
Bowen
on.
technique.
Somebody tell me.
And
Somebody
his
Who
name
can remember
is.
the male doula's name?
Yeah.
Oh no, you will.
Anyway, he's delightful.
Doula UK is obviously very proud of him.
Yes, and Mark Harris, who
Yes,
we all know
Birthing
is
for
a
Blokes.
lovely male midwife, Birthing for Blokes, has connected with him, and is there's I think sort of he's been very supportive of this guy who's.
Was he your first?
We also had an obstetric anaesthetist called.
I'm waiting for the name to come through.
Did a doula training to support his wife.
Oh, really?
Oh, lovely.
That's so
what's his
holistic.
name?
No, I'm not having much luck with Matt.
Matt.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
And can somebody remind me of the name of the anaesthetist who was at the conference last year talking?
Yes,
Who is
that is. Oh my God, my perimenopause.
He was
I
lovely.
do know his name.
And the bottle of Prosecco.
So I was going to say, thanks Hilary for the truth.
No, Tracy, you asked about the tea. We've been drinking tea all night.
Yeah.
His
In our
no,
minds.
I do know his name.
Yeah.
Andy
Cheers.
Sims.
Andy Sims.
Andy Sims.
No, different guy. He's called something like Copernicus or something odd. Anyway,
Copernicus.
We
I
don't
don't
have,
know,
we
it's
don't,
alright.
in Perth we don't have any, as far as I know, any male doulas yet, but we have some amazing male midwives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
It's
do.
still quite a new
Yeah,
thing. It's
fantastic.
really, you know.
We do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the first time I ever heard the term, going historically back to Doula UK, the first time I ever heard the term London centric. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
There was
do.
We still have that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is that, I've never heard it before.
Yeah.
I took Perth centric and ran with it when I went over there, but it was really about taking doulaing out of London and into the rest of England. Is that still something?
No, I think we're actually a lot better now. I think
I
it's.
travel the country.
Yeah,
to
I
do
do
Doula
think.
Doula
I think
programs.
that was definitely a thing.
But wasn't it
I
mostly
think-
that the volunteers were from London?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Home
now
counties
with
of
the
London.
internet, it makes a
Yeah,
massive
of
difference
course.
because we're
So-
able to
yeah,
connect
that makes a lot of
electronically,
sense.
and that
But this
I
is
mean,
the thing,
I don't know. People may disagree with me, but I actually think we've made it. We had our conference last year was up in Manchester,
Yeah.
and we do try and take things around the country a lot more than we used to. We're very aware that a lot of the doulas who are
But we went up north
Nicola-
and did a few meetings.
Nicola, you
We
need.
did.
Does
you
Watford
need-
count though?
Yeah. I need to tell you that I have a group of doulas in Leeds that are desperate to have a Doula UK conference. They have a venue, they have a
Very organised,
program,
aren't
and I told. So this is. I think that could be
Time to get
something
in
to
touch
look
with
into.
Lizzie.
Yeah, I
Or
will.
conference
they
ad.
have. They have. But I think this could happen because they're so keen, and there's a few.
You're talking about the Doula UK conference.
Doula UK conference. You know Amanda Burley,
Yep.
the Wait for White. She lives up there. We were talking about doing a postpartum doula conference, all about the 4th trimester.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
including like,
Wonderful.
but from like birth and then have all the placenta stuff. You know, meet and greet the placenta.
So if anybody out there is listening and they think that this is a good idea and they want to run with it, just let us know.
Yeah.
I have to say, one thing that I love that has changed in the 17 years is the 4th trimester, which didn't exist when we were. We did, you know, we had our postnatal doulas and we talked a little bit, but this whole 40-day post, or, you know, minimum 10 days is what I try and talk to my clients about. That wasn't something that was even being discussed 17 years ago.
There was no space for it, was there?
There was no space. We were just trying to
happening.
get birth out of the hospital and make it a woman-centric experience. And so what we set out to do, and what we've all done as doulas, the present-day doulas and all the doulas for the last 17 years, in the last 17 years in the UK, we have actually changed the face of birth and postnatal time, and that has been driven by doulas and midwives, and hospitals as well have obviously done their bit. But I really think by having a non-medically qualified group of women doulas has made mothers and parents and fathers go, okay, this doesn't have to be a medical experience, and opportunity to look at the 4th trimester, which, you know, having a conference with that involved, I'll come.
Well, it's very interesting.
Can you talk?
It's very interesting what you were saying, Hilary, because one of the things that and I think Sophie Messenger, if Sophie's listening, Sophie
I'm kind of looking through
runs a sling training course, different kind of slings, and when we first started, I think there was one sort of sling.
There was mother care sling, and that was it.
Yeah, but now, there are as many different kinds of slings as you could possibly imagine. And
we have sling libraries now.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Which we never had then. And, you know, watching my daughter wear her babies together, her twins in the same sling, was amazing. And to be able to have that kind of closeness for a baby is so important. And I think I can remember wearing my daughter when she was little, but it was quite frowned on.
Yeah. But do you know what? That's really lovely listening to you saying about how we have maybe doulas have made a change in the birthing in the UK, because I feel that we need to even go further. I remember always saying about we're not there to be a pressure group, we're not there to change the system, but actually I think we are in a way that is soft, gentle way, like a wind that just creeps in and kind of tries to change the system.
Swedish.
No, but it's not that. It's not.
True.
It's not this kind of we need to change. It's more of a softness to our change.
It's one woman at a time.
Exactly.
That's how we do it.
Like those starfish that you throw back in the sea. You change life one at a time.
Yeah.
And but I think we need to become a little bit more organised, a little bit more value what we do, and make that change, because I think we can make the change on a much larger scale. And what I'd love to see is more midwives talking about doulas, so that midwives are saying.
Well, they had a very good evening at Edgware Birth Centre a couple of weeks ago with a lovely midwife who was very, very keen to get.
Yeah, but that's one.
I know, but it's the same as us.
That's where I had my babies.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
It's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, I'm hoping that because they recognise, they recognise acupuncture. Reflexology, hypnobirthing, why not
essential
doulas?
oils,
Why not also say, you can look into having a doula support you? And I'm hoping that that's going to happen in the next.
Well, we've had some very interesting meetings at the Whittington Hospital, and the Whittington Hospital are very keen for us to wear identification badges with photographs on, so that they know who the Doula UK doulas are.
So is that to separate you from other doulas?
Yeah.
Or?
That's going back to, I remember 2002 talking about that. And we did have membership badges in 2005.
And we are quite, we're not...
ID badges is another different...
Yeah. But anyway, so the hospitals, the point I'm trying to make is that the hospitals do look at it differently. Some hospitals want it to be much more regulated. Some hospitals are very happy for us to go in and, for it to be... I mean, when I started, I used to have somebody's friend.
Yeah.
Then I got to the point where they started asking me if there was their mother.
You've got a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
Coming every other week.
But I think the first time I was asked
mother?
the first time I was asked if I was somebody's mother, the woman was 38 and I was 45.
Yeah. I had that. She was the same age as me.
Actually, not possible.
Yeah.
Not physically possible. But they don't even look at
No,
you.
they don't. They just say, you're the mum. And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm the same age as her.
Yes. So, you know, I think.
It's when they become old enough to be your daughters.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this is
What
where
are you
I'm
doing?
getting
No, I
to.
get
So
that.
I was very recently at my second generation birth.
I know.
As a
Oh,
beginning of
Hilary.
this year.
So what, you were the doula for
I
someone
was
you
the
saw
doula
being born?
for this boy being born 27 years ago, and then
That's
I was at the
amazing.
birth of his daughter at the beginning of this year. And
Were you
when-
invited or did you gate crash?
I think she gate
Yeah,
crashed.
I reckon.
graciously invited, but there was a moment where the mum was in labour and she had her arm round the boy's shoulders and her arm round my shoulders, and luckily she was really tiny and she was like having a contraction and dropping all her weight onto our shoulders, and I was just thinking, God blimey, my back's not as good as it was 27 years ago. But that was exactly how his mother had given birth to him. And so there was just this moment when I was looking over the top of the labouring woman's head into his eyes, and I was just like, 27 years ago, I was
amazing.
looking into your father's
Goosebumps.
eyes,
Beautiful.
and it
Yeah.
was you that was being born.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, second generation. I've been doing it long enough now to do second generation.
Oh my
babies.
God,
Very.
did you just hear that? Second generation doula.
Really,
So,
really
is there
special.
anybody else out there
Yeah.
who
Who's
has
done
that?
it?
Had
Hilary
that
the
experience, or is she?
Do you know what, ladies, women, doulas, friends? It's been an hour now.
Yeah.
Time up there.
We've been here, literally been here chatting for an hour, and this is what happens when.
Doulas
We-
get together.
when was
Are
the
there any
last time?
questions we haven't answered?
Well,
or are
I'm
we-
looking through.
What's
They're
the-
just agreeing with us, saying
2
like,
years ago
No,
when you were
I
here.
was
no, it's 6
No,
years,
ages
4
ago.
years
ago.
ago.
I came.
Yes.
And we had here again.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was the photograph that you put on.
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
It's
Mallorca or
It was a
Mallorca?
lot
Mallorca
faster.
next
Mallorca
Tracy.
next Tracy
Yes.
will be heading your way, and we're
Yes.
going to do live from there. Actually, I'm going to do. I'm going to hire the Love Island.
You've got to get me over first.
Okay,
It's all right, Doula Academy.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be great. No, I'm looking for questions. No, they're all just agreeing with that.
I just want to say a shout out to Lulu Winfield as well.
Yes.
She should have been
Lulu.
here today, and
Yeah.
She's in Italy, so she
Yes.
can't join us.
Having a laugh in
unfortunately.
Maybe she'll
Yeah.
watching this back. I haven't seen Lulu for years. I would love to see Lulu
Yeah,
soon
please.
again.
Who
Come
else?
to
Who
us,
else were
Lulu.
some of our original members? There was Alicia, who's also in
Australia.
Australia, Sydney.
From what's her name?
Linda Quinn.
Linda Quinn.
Who else? 'Cause there were a lot of us. Nikki,
Linda, the other
Sawyer,
Linda,
Nikki
another
Sawyer.
one.
the other Linda, who was a midwife, whose name. Oh,
Was it Diane Walters?
Linda
Diane
Quinn.
Walters.
Quinn.
no, there was somebody else.
That's
said that
another-
already. There's another
yeah.
Linda.
Sorry.
Diane Walters.
Diane.
Yeah, Diane. She might be watching this. I doubt it.
So
but-
there was a lot of us.
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
And the lady from Yorkshire.
I know Darren.
Daryl.
Daz.
Daz.
Von Mick.
Yeah.
Because you remember we had a forum?
Yeah.
We actually
Yeah.
had a forum
We did.
before Facebook.
Yeah.
We had a
It was
forum.
really active.
A lot of Doula UK members missed the forum, but we
Yeah.
actually decided
It doesn't work anymore.
No,
with
Facebook-
No,
it's
but
all
social media's
Facebook.
moved
Yeah.
on, but back
Exactly.
then
It
it was
was-
the way to take it out of London
Yes.
and into the rest
Yeah.
of the country, wasn't it?
But I really do think that's the way to go. Like you said, we need more stronger regions
Yeah.
in the UK. People that are holding up the regions, and that's how it's going to happen. And that's my
So
campaign.
the last thing, I suppose, maybe one of the last things we should say is that please, one of the things that we really want is for you to be involved and to
Yeah.
help,
Yeah.
because it's your
Yeah.
organisation.
Yeah.
And you know, it would be fantastic if from this evening we got more people coming forward.
Absolutely. So BirthBliss Academy, of course, is an approved course by Doula UK, and I forever keep sending people to volunteer. You know,
She
there's a
does.
lot of BirthBliss
There are a lot of
volunteers.
birthplace volunteers.
And if you're a BirthBliss doula or any doula who's a member of Doula UK, you just volunteer. Give up, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just what you have is what we want.
We're a very friendly team.
Yeah. And I really want to big thank you to all my lovely team.
Especially Lisa's come all the way from Australia.
Still jet lag.
Yeah, you've done well.
Thank you.
I think the champagne that Nicola
Definitely
brought
helped.
out. So Nicola, thank you so much.
you,
And
Kate.
Hilary,
Thank
you
you.
are just a star, all of you. So
And
thank you from us. And we're going to say goodnight.
Good
and
night.
switch off.
Bye.
And I have to actually get up. No, I'm pressing.
Oh,
I'm not
Cleavage
really,
shot.
I'm not really sure.
Cleavage shot, Kiki.
And I can't even do it. Sorry, I'm going to have to take this phone off. Oh,
Low
and
battery,
see if
yeah.
I can